My journey to Central Asia began, as most of my adventures do, with a profound misunderstanding. I was staring at a colorful classroom map when my finger landed on Kazakhstan. Look at all that space, I thought. So much room for activities. Maybe it's like a bigger, more exotic Palm Springs. I pictured myself poolside, latte in hand, possibly bumping into a Kardashian. The travel agent, with a knowing smile, suggested Italy. I was resolute. I had a vision of myself conquering the wilds of a place I couldn't pronounce. I practiced saying Kazakhstan in the mirror. Each attempt sounded like a sneeze. I packed sunglasses and linen, ready for resort life. My arrival in Almaty was my first clue I'd made a mistake. The air smelled of coal, not chlorine. The palm trees were replaced by stern Soviet apartment blocks. I searched for a Starbucks, found only Cyrillic letters that looked like they were scolding me. I was a flamingo among eagles. The dream of a Central Asian Disneyland faded fast, replaced by the reality of a country I knew nothing about. The plan: rent a car, see a lake, be back for dinner. The rental agent handed me keys to a car that looked like it survived the fall of the Berlin Wall. It sounded like a dying badger. I smiled, pointed at a map, and drove off in what I thought was the right direction. It was not. My journey into the steppe began with the sputtering cough of a Lada and the slow horror of my own incompetence. The brochure called it the Endless Steppe. More accurate, the world's largest, windiest parking lot. For an hour, the emptiness was impressive. By hour 3, existential dread set in. The landscape never changed. Just brown grass, endless sky, and a road to infinity. I was sure I'd passed the same sad shrub for 45 minutes. The weather was wild, scorching sun, then a wind that tried to steal my hat and dignity. I tried to take a photo. The wind nearly ripped the car door off. My car, the Soviet Regret, began making new, alarming noises. No landmarks, no road signs I could read, no cell service. My phone was a useless brick. The map I downloaded, it was for downtown Los Angeles. Eventually, the Soviet Regret died with a dramatic clank, leaving me stranded in profound silence. Just me, the wind, and that mocking shrub. I had achieved the ultimate travel experience. Utterly, completely lost. My grand adventure devolved into a humble goal, not being eaten by imaginary wolves. After walking for what felt like ages, I spotted a yurt shimmering in the distance. A man with a warm smile gestured me inside, speaking a language I couldn't decipher. I pointed at my mouth and stomach, making sad, hungry noises. He understood. Inside, a woman tended a bubbling pot. The smell was complex. I was handed a bowl of thick, grayish stew, my first authentic nomadic meal. I took a bite. The texture was chewy, the flavor intensely muttony. My taste buds filed a complaint. My host watched as I chewed and chewed. The meat had the resilience of a car tire. I gave a thumbs up, and they rewarded me with another heaping portion. I spent the next half hour moving chunks around, constructing a greasy fortress instead of eating. Then came kumis, fermented mare's milk. I'd read about this. It smelled like sour yogurt and feet. I sipped. It was fizzy, tangy, and exactly as I feared. I smiled, nodded, and felt a single tear of regret. My stomach was now a war zone of mystery meat and alcoholic horse milk. I had come seeking adventure and found it in a bowl of soup. Sometimes travel is just surviving dinner. My host decided I needed to learn to ride a horse. They led me to a horse who looked at me with profound disappointment. I named him Disappointment. Mounting was a challenge. I clung to his neck like a terrified koala. Riding is not just sitting. It's being rhythmically slammed against a creature that doesn't care about your comfort. Disappointment had 2 speeds, slow and bone-jarring, and slightly faster and more bone-jarring. My host shouted instructions in Kazakh, which I interpreted as, "Hold on for dear life." The grand finale Disappointment stopped to graze, ignoring my attempts to steer. I whispered encouraging phrases from westerns. He just kept chewing, stranded, but this time on top of a monument to my own inadequacy. My host eventually led us back, me still atop Disappointment, the picture of defeat. Sometimes the horse really does know best. The family that rescued me was the epitome of hospitality. They shared food, warmth, and space without hesitation. The children treated me like a new climbing frame, giggling at my attempts to speak their language. My phone was dead, so I bridged the gap with funny faces and animal noises. A huge hit. The evening passed in companionable silence, broken only by the crackling stove and soft Kazakh conversation. I sipped my third bowl of kumis and felt a strange sense of peace. No Wi-Fi, no schedule, just the yurt, the endless sky, and the kindness of strangers. The patriarch handed me a sheepskin coat and patted my shoulder. "You are one of us tonight." Swaddled in wool and hospitality, I felt more at home than in any hotel. Of course, that feeling was slightly undercut by the aftertaste of horse milk and the realization I had no idea how to get back to civilization. My hosts helped me get my car semi-functional, and I limped into a dusty town. My first priority, Wi-Fi. I needed to check email, post a photo, reassure my mother I wasn't in a circus. I mimed typing at a cafe. The woman behind the counter stared blankly. A teenager took pity. Password? I nearly wept. He rattled off a code. I entered it. Incorrect. Again, incorrect. After 5 tries, he shrugged and returned to his game. I wandered the streets, phone aloft, searching for a signal. Others had the magic. I did not. Was there a secret handshake? I found a network named Karat_S_iPhone. Locked. My search ended in failure. No Starbucks, no open network, no digital oasis. I sat on a curb, phone now a symbol of my isolation. I had survived the Steppe, but was brought to my knees by the lack of Wi-Fi. A truly modern tragedy. My journey continued, my car now sounding like a cement mixer full of bees. I encountered a lone horseman who inspected my car, muttering in Kazakh. He gave an animated speech, pointed at the engine, the sky, then me. I nodded, pretending to understand. He grew frustrated. He drew diagrams in the dirt. I pointed at a squiggle. "The carburetor." He stared, then wiped the drawing away in disgust. He mimed needing a tool. I proudly handed him a screwdriver. He needed a wrench. He sighed, pulled out his own tool, and fixed the car. He gestured for me to start it. The engine turned over reluctantly. He nodded, mounted his horse, and rode away, leaving me with my shame. I had met another kind soul, and proved my species was not ready for interstellar travel. Sometimes the greatest adventure is surviving your own incompetence. My constant unfulfilled quest, a familiar bathroom? In America, we take the porcelain throne for granted. In rural Kazakhstan, it's a myth. My first outhouse was a spiritual trial, a leaning shack with a crescent moon and an earthy, terrifying interior. Towns offered squat toilets, a challenge for my flexibility and dignity. I emerged feeling like I'd failed both a sobriety test and a yoga class. Even ordering coffee became a bathroom ordeal. I said latte loudly. The server led me to the restroom. I became the foreigner who shouted latte when he needed the toilet. I switched to black tea, simpler. My trip became a series of small victories. A meal, a place to sleep, a bathroom that didn't haunt my dreams. Nothing like a terrifying outhouse to make you appreciate the simple things. My trip to Kazakhstan didn't go as planned. No poolside resort, no Kardashians, just a lot of getting lost and uncomfortable. By every measure, it was a disaster. And yet, it was the best trip I've ever taken. Getting lost forced me to shed the shell of the modern tourist. Without a phone or a map, I had to rely on something scarier, the kindness of strangers. I had to trust, to be vulnerable, to communicate with smiles and gestures. The Steppe, once intimidating, revealed its quiet beauty and resilience. The silence became peaceful, a space to think and breathe. My frantic search for Wi-Fi was replaced by acceptance of the present moment. I left with a broken car, a story about a horse named Disappointment, and a lingering taste of mare's milk. But I also left with something more, a new version of myself. The best travel stories aren't about perfect photos. They're about connection, detours, and hilarious failures. Getting lost didn't just show me a new country. It showed me a new me. And that, I think, is a souvenir worth traveling for.